He has a 1-1 count. That one struck high. Left side. That one's going. That's out of here off the ropes. You have got to be kidding me. Fireworks. Here you go. Welcome, everybody, into a special edition of High and Tight. It's our reaction show where we get the chance to break down our reactions to the postseason. It's finally here. Round one for 3A and 4A have concluded, and we just got wrapped up with our 3A one. So, hey, go ahead and check that out here. Get the full scope of what baseball in Iowa is like, even if you're not a fan of 3A. But right now, if you're a fan of 4A, you've come to the right spot, for sure. Just myself, Andrew Brown, here right now, as Cade is out, unable to get the connection. So I'm just going to ride right now alone until otherwise, right? But hopefully you get the chance to, again, hang with me here. Again, I am, I will say, a little bit disheveled. Hopefully you can sit there and hopefully you can be there for me here, because I had just we've had our third child born yesterday. So if there's anything that I missed, anything that happened that we didn't highlight, let us know here. We would love to go ahead, as it's our mission, our goal, to highlight the players, coaches, athletes, and everybody associated with the game of baseball in Iowa. So from whatever level, however it happens, we want to give a shout out. We want to give highlights. We want to show the great work done by everybody who participates in baseball in Iowa. So make sure to do that. And also, while you're at it here, make sure to give a shout out and check out the great folks at Hitting Approach. Now, Hitting Approach is the cost-effective app that you could, and again, it's an app that you can put onto any type of device. You don't have to get big fancy equipment. You don't have to get big TrackMan equipment or TrackMan in general. You can, it is workable with TrackMan data, so you can utilize it in that fashion. It's the holistic approach. Now, the thing about Hitting Approach is it was made by coaches for coaches. Right? It was made by coaches all the way from the D2 collegiate level all the way down to the youth level. And, just didn't want to take lots of time putting data into a spreadsheet, right? They wanted to get back to coaching, what they really truly wanted to do. And that's where Hitting Approach was really born from. And it has evolved so much, right? You can help find out how your hitters have done in any count, how your pitchers have done in any count. Plus, how have your batters done when they haven't hit the ball? What have their swings been like? What's been like when they've hit foul balls? What's been the difference between a hit, a foul ball, and a strike? What's been the difference? You can get all of that in one, and it's there with graphs, charts, spreadsheets, and more right after the game is done. That's right. You hit end on the game on Hitting Approach app, and boom, it has already compiled charts, graphs, everything you need to digest what the game was and help you for what the games that will be. It's phenomenal. Plus, it can work for batting practices. It can work for bullpen sessions. You can analyze how each of your batters and pitchers have been doing, break down their mechanics, break down everything to give the full picture of what they're bringing to the table. I mean, it truly is that effective and that simple. Plus, one of the things I really like is that it gives questionnaires right after the game to all the players, right? All the players involved. It asks them from the coach's side of things and more, how do they think they did? How would they rate their performance? Right? It breaks it down so they can get really cerebral with the game and that they can learn mentally as well as physically moving forward. It helps for every game, including, again, for the day ahead or even a double header for the next game in 20 minutes. It can help break all of that down for you, and it's really simple right there. A lot of people have been raving about it, including 3A back-to-back champion head coach in Western Dubuque's Casey Bryant. We've had him on to talk about it, and you can catch that up on Rockfin and YouTube. But it has been truly a huge blessing to have these guys. And again, from a phenomenal coach like Casey Bryant, I mean, what more could you like? I mean, this is a coach that truly is one of the best in the business, and he is giving high praises for what is going on here with Hitting Approach. So make sure to check that out today at hittingapproach.com. All right, let's go ahead. I'll take you through as I dive, really bracket by bracket here and get rocking and rolling. And again, let me go ahead and bring up the official brackets here as we take a look, and we'll dive right into them here. So let's go ahead and take a look at Substate 1 in 4A. Waukee, easy 9-0 winners over Council Bluffs, Jefferson. Indianola, man, they were bested by Des Moines East earlier. Indianola said, we're not going to lose. We're not going to mess up with that. We're not going to lose twice. They end up taking it over Des Moines East 7-1. And then a game in which, I think a lot of us here at iBaseball had pegged as a very tough game between Sioux City North and Urbandale. Aiden Shunk was absolutely on fire, guys, and I will say on fire. He ended up putting across a phenomenal performance, and then the offense, the offense put up quite a rout as well. And then again, this is one where, gosh, you definitely can't count out anybody when it comes to this. Again, this is a Sioux City North squad that has just been, they've been a little bit under the weather here and there. They've been at a hard time a couple of times, but in the end, Shunk just did what he needed to do. He ended up getting the win there, and again, Sioux City North continues to rock and roll through this postseason. And again, not going to be upset to see if they continue on even further with that. As I go ahead and bring up my notes here. But again, a great overall outing, and again, fun one there. As we'll go ahead and bring it back into my shining face here. Again, Urbandale, I want to give a shout out to Coach Evans. 14-22, certainly not the season that they would have liked, but it was phenomenal. This is a great coaching staff, and they'll bounce back for sure. But Sioux City North, man, got to give credit for them. 4 runs in the third, which was the big difference here in this game. And no official stats for them yet here. But in the end, Shrunk had, I believe, over 5 strikeouts in the game and ended up pushing through. I believe he went the distance, if not the majority of the game. And again, kudos to Aiden Shrunk. What a guy. And I'm sorry if I said that name wrong, but Shrunk has been he's been a guy that's been on our radar for this entire year. He's helped the North Stars be one of the better pitching staffs. And so despite the up and down season, this really proves that you guys can come out when it matters most, get the win, and hey, nobody's talking about the losses they had early in the season now, because they are now just one win or a couple wins away from making a state tournament. So we'll see. Again, kudos to what Sioux City North did as they took the 5-3 win over Urbandale to advance. And now we move on here to Substate 2, in which this one had a little bit of craziness in there. We'll bring you to the bracket, but ultimately in the end, we kind of see what we thought we'd see. DCG, big winners over Sioux City West. They now head to the title game here. Sioux City East narrowly escapes Valley 3-2, and Council Bluffs, Abraham Lincoln, they could not quite get out of the way of Ankeny. Ankeny puts up quite the big offense there, and I got to say, Coach Ballvans is one of my favorite coaches, guys. I'll be honest. He is certainly a phenomenal guy just to be around, and I love how what he brings, the energy he brings. So, again, kudos to Ankeny. Shout out to Jack Levidence. He has been their main ace on the mound, guys, and he went 6 2/3, I should say, striking out 6. And then on the back end of that, man, this was a good offensive night here for Ankeny as they continue through. I will say, that this has been, I believe that they've had the number one rated strength of schedule for the majority, if not all, of the 2024 season. And you know what? They've shown that they're battle tested, and they are not an easy out. They had 9 hits in this one that included 3 extra base hits. And so, as always, ladies and gentlemen, like I mentioned, this brought to you by Hitting Approach and RDA Financial. Please make sure to check out RDA Financial when you get the chance here. They are certainly they're one of our great sponsors, and they help us with our RDA Financial Prospect Planner piece. And again, if you can catch them out, man, Chad Erickson is the guy who rocks it for us. But there are so many others that can rock it for you. They know money inside and out, and it says, like they're on the logo, personalized, innovative solutions. They go above and beyond to make your money work hard for you. And so they've got it all down. I urge you to check them out today at RDA Financial Network, wherever you can catch them. They're certainly, and beyond that, they're just like Chad. They're in the community with you, man. They're going through all the big times, all the ups and downs. They've seen it, been there, all the big struggles, all the big praises. They've been there for it. They are certainly great people, and I urge you to check them out today at rdafinancial.com. All right, we move on here again. Like I said, kudos to Ankeny. Again, Clevidence with 6 strikeouts through 6 2/3. And then some big hitting here by Blake Morgan. 3 hits, including a double, and that helped for 4 total bases, 13 overall for Ankeny in the win as they go ahead and move on to the second round. And again, it will be Ankeny taking on Sioux City East in that second round battle. All right, now we move on to Substate number 3 in 4A. And I like this. This is a dangerous mark here. We'll go ahead and bring it into the full bracket here. And as no surprise, I think no one's surprised that Johnston comes out with the win here. They head to the Substate final. Meanwhile, we have Cedar Falls over Mason City. They take on Southeast Polk on the 15th here. And again, this is a battle between. Well, this was a state tournament game last year, and it was a game in which Cedar Falls had a big outcome in that one, really dominating that game. And this could be Southeast Polk's chance for revenge here. Regardless, they'll go ahead and face the gauntlet known as Johnston in the Substate final game on the 17th. So we'll bring you back here, and we move right along for more. And again, any big performances we missed, hit us up here. Let us know. We'd love to hear from that and a whole lot more. So moving on here, we go to Substate 4. And this was one, guys, that we had really pegged because it would potentially give us a couple of outcomes, either an Okie and Baumler or Okie and Geoffrey matchup. In the end, it's what we potentially could get comes from, well, the Dowling Catholic Maroons, because as we take a look at the bracket here, it was Dowling Catholic in 8 innings, 8, I'll say again, as they take down Ames 1-0 to advance. DeMoine Roosevelt, no trouble there, 15-0 over Fort Dodge, and those two teams will be facing Ankeny Centennial in the Substate final. That will be on the 17th. But again, this matchup between Roosevelt and Dowling here, that intrigues me quite a bit because I like Kanoa Lynn. I like Jake Esplin for Roosevelt. Those are 2 guys that I find are very at the top of the lineup. They can get on. They can do a whole lot of damage with very, very quickly. Meanwhile, I mean, gosh, you got Matthew Hanton for Dowling Catholic. I mean, he's the hits leader for a reason. I love what he brings to the table. Obviously, Trevor Baumler here, he's the strikeout man with 66 on the year so far. He won't obviously be going in this game, but we saw what he and the rest of the Maroon pitching staff capable of doing here. Again, this is kind of a difference here because Dowling has again, it's always a tough schedule that they face here. Averaging just over 5 runs scored, just under 5 runs against. Des Moines Roosevelt, they've been a strong offense all year, nearly 10 runs per game, just under 5 runs given up per game as well. This series, I mean, it could go pretty much any direction. Ultimately, what I like about them is I like that again, it could go several different ways. Dowling Catholic has the edge 15-4, and that's included 4 out of the last 5 outings, including 2 wins here in 2024, as they have given up no more than 5 runs in those games, but they have scored 17 runs total in those 2 games here in 2024 against Des Moines Roosevelt. So Roosevelt looking for their first win over the Maroons since 2022, and it could be quite the battle. So we're looking to see who ends up taking it and who ends up taking on Ankeny Centennial on the 17th. So from there we move right along, and as I do so, please give a nice shout out and warm welcome to Insolites at insolites.com. They have helped us bring our insolites.com hotline this entire year, and I will say that if you get the chance, I urge you. This is a great group of people. If you've had an electric fence and you're tired of shocking yourself, we got the answer, right? Insolites has got the answer for you. All you need to do is hit them up at insolites.com. The LED flashing insulated light that you can see from up to half a mile or more away goes onto almost any type of post out there, and it goes with the pulse of the fence, so you know whether it works or whether it doesn't. No adding anything, bulky equipment, grounding anything. Pick, place, and watch it work from your own home. So again, check them out, INSULIGHTS, insolites.com. Let's move on into the next bracket we're taking a look at, bracket Substate 5, and it looks like this. Wow, Kennedy, we knew would be strong. They go into the title game already. North Scott with a big win over Muscatine. They advanced to take on Dubuque Senior. Dubuque Senior with a strong outing there. They 5-4 win over Hempstead, and that's pretty significant because for me, to bring you back, that means that Coach Soy and company are really progressing well here with Dubuque Senior, right? I mean, the last couple of years, they have been really on track, on the way. It's been fun to watch them overall go through, and this was a battle, right? This was a battle to the very end. In the end, the runs were spread out across, but kudos to the fifth inning, where it was a 3-run 5th inning, and you know what? That helps to spur. I mean, the majority of the game, 4 of the 7 they didn't score. They scored 2 in the first and 3 in the 5th. That was ultimately what was needed there. They held off a comeback late from Hempstead, and give a shout out to Coach Soy and the Rams for making it here. They advanced, and they did so off of 7 hits. They only had 1 extra base hit. So they made the most, and they were the most effective, in my mind, with the hitting, and they made it work. And again, kudos to Drew Francois as well. He had 2 hits, including the lone double here. And actually, as I go through it, he had the lone double in that one, 3 total bases. As Dubuque Senior, the Rams, they will advance here in postseason play. And again, their mark, they will go ahead and face off again in round 2 with the shot of potentially making it to one of their first state tournaments in a while. Again, they take on North Scott on the 15th. So moving on to Substate 6 here as we take a look and bring you into the action here as all my stuff gets set up here. All right, we now go on and take a look. Linn-Mar, 6-0 winners to advance to the Substate final. Meanwhile, Waukee Northwest Ottumwa, they had some wins there. They go ahead and they'll battle it out in the second round here from Northwest High School. This is a matchup that hasn't happened a ton in the grand scheme of things. Again, Waukee Northwest in they've only been around for a handful of years right now, so they haven't had a ton of chance to catch up with this. In fact, as I recall, as I believe that this would be the very first matchup between Ottumwa and Waukee Northwest, two very strong teams who will look to face Linn-Mar in the sub-state final. So now as we continue to roll along here, we go into Sub-State 7 here. This was one that had perhaps one of the bigger upsets of the 3A, 4A side of the postseason here. And I'll say that because, well, I'll just let you look at it. What do you see right off the bat? Well, you saw Davenport Central not upset. They move on to face Iowa City West. Prairie blanked in that game. Iowa City West 3-0. And Iowa City High, of course, they move on to the sub-state final here for the second consecutive season as they will battle the winner of Iowa City West and Davenport Central. I was a little bit shocked, and nothing against what they've got going on at Iowa City West. The Trojans have obviously had a battle-tested year, and not a bad one at that. 19 wins, still pretty strong in the grand scheme of things. They've had a lot that they've had to go up against. I mean, in the end, the pitching was what won the day. Won the day, won it all, get the chance to move on, continue the season. Coach Stumpf is a legendary coach, and he has helped this program continue to move right along and roll right along. I will say as I bring things up, Kyle Cherry went the distance in this one. If you don't know the name Kyle Cherry, you really should. The junior, under 100 pitches is what it took. He allowed just 4 hits, 3 walks, and he struck out 1, but he didn't need to strike out a ton. He still held one of the hottest hitting teams in Prairie, and this was a good team that had some big wins this year. He held them overall to, just like I said, those 4 hits. 1 extra base hit, which was a double by Maddox Mueller, but in the end, it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Just 5 total bases for Prairie. This does get credited as one of the biggest upsets here of the postseason so far, and we've already seen some big ones. But Prairie, this was a year that I did not see them dropping anywhere, and they didn't. Right? They still had a good season overall. In the end, they still picked up 20+ wins, 23 on the season to be exact. So. They had Burkhold, they had Bowles, they had a lot of good pitching behind them. In the end, you only give up 3 runs. You can normally win those games, but you got to have the offense behind it. So Kyle Cherry, a big name to take note of, not just this year, but for next year as well. Again, Iowa City West, Davenport Central on the 15th, battling it out to face Iowa City High. And, of course, moving right along here again, appreciate you coming along and giving your thoughts. We've kind of had some connection issues, which has just plated me here. So hopefully you get to have a lot of fun with me. But we now move on to the final sub-state in Class 4A. And as we look at it, it looks like this. Iowa City Liberty, tough battle there against Waterloo East, but they do manage to get by with the win. They take to the sub-state final. Davenport North, the season that has been so magical for them, I guarantee you they're not done with a MAC title. They're looking for more. They will now take on Pleasant Valley in an interconference battle here. And guys, this is fun because what we most likely will see here, and again, I just got to make sure to check the notes and check everything here. In the end, I don't quite know if it will be. I got to make sure to check on the stats here. I know that Lincoln Dalton did pitch in that game against Davenport West. And so trying to look at that as it loads up here. Again, Dalton, in the end, just 56 pitches. And so by my account, by my understanding, that means that Lincoln Dalton is available. And I will say right here, right now, what a lot of people would think of, hey man, it's Davenport North's to take. I don't think so. Think about it. Just 56 pitches was all that was needed. 9 strikeouts in this one against Davenport West. And in the end, I can't count out what's going on. Again, in our predictions, I did look at Davenport North as making it, but it's not going to be easy. And I would not be surprised to see Pleasant Valley upend and get the upset here to move to the state title or sub-state final game. So again, that's coming your way as well. Again, Lincoln Dalton most likely will be pitching, and that changes the entire outcome of how we should view this. Because Lincoln Dalton is a stud. He is one of those guys that will go the distance for you, has long average in terms of innings pitched, and has a good strikeout ratio to walk ratio working for him. He's a guy that can really put a wrinkle in things for Davenport North. But regardless, Davenport North, Pleasant Valley taking on Iowa City Liberty, one of those two anyway, from Liberty on the 17th. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us here. That will wrap up the time here. We have gone through all 4A matchups here, the posts, and I'll say, again, the biggest upset for me coming in sub-state 7, Iowa City West over Prairie. Again, this is what we're looking at. A lot of good, strong teams here. One of the matchups that I'm looking most forward to, I'll go ahead and kind of give you a few of those. Indianola Sioux City North is a matchup that I have my eyes on because Sioux City North has more than just Aiden Shrunk on the mound. We'll see how that ends up working there. But also, it may not be the flashiest round 2 matchup here, but I do think that Des Moines Roosevelt and Dowling Catholic is a matchup to watch. I know that Roosevelt has been dogged on for the schedule, but you play who you play, and in the end, they have dominated where they need to. This is a strong team. I think will make a big push, and don't be surprised by it. And then also another game that I am really interested to see here comes in that sub-state 7 as well, Davenport Central against Iowa City West. What's that game going to look like now? And we'll see. Iowa City West has to deal with the depth. They have to really rely on their depth to make it through. But Milo Kelly and Davenport Central, they could do some damage here. So again, those are some of my big games to watch here as we go through the Class 4A postseason. All right, thanks again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to wrap up here, and again, to give us your thoughts and anything big that we missed, any big outings, any big performance, let us know, hit us up, and we'd love to go ahead and talk about that as well. So thanks again, ladies and gentlemen, and until we see each other next time with myself and Cade Nissen, we'll see you then, and stay safe on the base paths. Thanks again.